Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis. And this evening we have one of our favorite guests on. We have Mr. Eric Harp, our certified professional fitness trainer and educator. Good evening, Mr. Harp. How are you?
I'm well, Mrs. Davis. How are you today?
I am great. All right, so let's get to it. So, Mr. Harp, we are going to talk about wellness, fitness, and the heat. So, yesterday was the first day of summer in the Midwest, and it's sweltering, and we've got strange weather happening across the United States. But before we get to all of that, we have to do like what we always do. We talk current events.
Let's do it.
So the big topic on a lot of people's discussion is the January 6th hearings. What are your thoughts on what you've seen so far? What has been revealed? Woo, yes. Break it down for us, Mr. Harp.
Well, listen, again, thank you for having me as you do. But it's been worth the wait. The way that they've put this together, the way that they've tactically put this together to explain it, to bring the timelines together, to splice the testimonies along with the narrative, and it has been great the way that they've put it together. I know that there's going to be some diehards that are out there that just won't believe anything their eyes see, won't believe anything. Oh yeah, Tim Scott, Rick Scott, the other Scott. You got
Herschel Walker.
Needless to say, these up and coming. This is the primaries, and this is also. We can't miss that this is the primaries. During this year of the primaries, people have become deaf, dumb, and blind to the situation. 18 months ago, it's like, oh, that's 18 months ago. That's in the past. Let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about gas prices. Well, how about talk about guns?
Yeah.
Yes. However, let's get back to January 6th. I don't want to digress. I think that Liz Cheney's doing a great job. I think that and I'm so sorry. I just lost his name, but the one who's running it.
Yes, the brother from, is it Tennessee? Yes.
Mississippi, wherever he's from.
Yes.
I'm really impressed by the work that they've done.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see what's going on next, because as we speak, Trump has done. He's pressured the states.
Yes.
And vilified the way he vilified those people who had nothing to do with anything. And let me that little minute point.
Yes.
The Black lady and her mother.
Yes.
Down in Georgia.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Nothing to do with anything. But yet they're gonna start calling her a hustler.
A vote scammer.
A vote scammer. Oh, her name is Ruby Williams or whatever her name. Excuse me, I don't want to missay her name. Ruby Freeman, but they put her name out. They put her name out for all the crazies to go out and hunt for her. And she's the mother of the woman who actually worked with the state legislature.
Yes. She said she can't go anywhere with her mother. She can't do any of the things that she would normally do out of fear for her life. She is being threatened.
But don't forget these racial undertones. She's a hustler. That she's this is what they do. And it was horrible. It was horrible. But that came to light. That part came to light. The way that the lawyers and the other state legislatures in Arizona and in Georgia, the way they held their ground. So that was yesterday as we speak. the way that they went after Mike Pence and showed how calculated that was. I mean, it's truly been eye-opening, and it's been way more than just people storming the Capitol. It's been way more than that. People, it's amazing in some of the conversations that I've had, how people don't believe it.
Yes.
Oh, it's a farce. It's a sham trial. No, this is only the witch hunt for Donald Trump haters. We'll see now.
And the ironic thing, I remind people, we all saw it on television. We all saw it, whether it was Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, OAN Network, we all saw it. And so you're right to describe it as, oh, they were peaceful. Oh, they were just asserting their right. I'm like, y'all don't remember when they were walking through the hallways whistling, telling Pelosi, we come to get you? That was universal. Secondly, if you have any type of home training, morals, values, or class, you walking into someone's office, putting your feet up, going through government mail, and then going to the speaker's podium and pulling out the notes and the schedule for the day. And you're looking at classified documents. These are people that we have elected to office who gain certain permissions to maintain the security and control of our country. And you had a bunch of people who felt like, okay, well, the government is taking over or doing something that we don't feel. But then we see you on TV going through and rifling and showing people. So you're breaking security for the nation. And one last point, Mr. Hart, you had people carrying zip ties with gas masks because it was like there was war happening on the Capitol, but we're supposed to believe that this was a peaceful thing. And let me one last point. Who are the leaders of this? What did we see? Because we didn't see Black and brown people. Yeah, there were Black and brown people there, yes. But the people that were shown, the dude with the big horns on his head, Mr. Shaman Man. Mr. Shaman. I'm sorry, Mr. Harp, they didn't look like me.
Well, as things come out, here we are. Here we are with the day before, we have a tour given by Senator Barry Loudermilk. And just like most of the other situations, what tour? I didn't get a tour. There's paperwork here. There's paperwork. There's paperwork here that says I didn't give a tour. There's paperwork that says no tour was given, but there's a video.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're gonna say, which one you gonna believe? You gonna believe me or you gonna believe the video?
Right.
You gonna believe the paperwork that was given to me by the White House Capitol Police that says no tour was given, that was out of the ordinary? But yet the video shows taking pictures of stairwells and exits and security checkpoints. And what are we supposed to believe? Our eyes, or are we supposed to believe this honorable congressman?
Cognitive dissonance.
This is the choice that we have. So, but one more time, what video? What tour? I didn't give a tour. What insurrectionists? They weren't insurrectionists. They were just peaceful tourists. How could you call this an insurrection? How could you charge these people with sedition? So, this is just one of those things that, Watergate was before our time.
It was.
But history repeats itself. So this is our Watergate. And as bad as Watergate was for the country then, we are at that pinnacle.
Yes.
And, it is very true that if this is a chip in democracy, then this is going to have ramifications, because we have social media now. There's no need to go see people. All you got to do is send out a couple words, and you're gonna incite. You're gonna mobilize. You're gonna increase enrollment in some of these,
Mm-hmm.
as they said, their enrollment tripled.
Mm-hmm.
When Donald Trump said, when he made his call to arms and said that it's going to be a wild time, then their enrollment tripled. And I'm talking about the Proud Boys and
Mm-hmm. And the
and
Oath Keeper, the
the
Oath
Oath
Keepers.
Keepers and the other
Mm-hmm.
percenters,
Mm-hmm.
whatever these groups of whatever they call themselves,
Yes.
mercenaries.
Mm-hmm. Patriots. They call themselves patriots.
Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just a football team.
Right. No disrespect, New England. No disrespect.
Yeah, I thought, but whatever the case, their enrollment tripled, and by this, the white supremacy conversations that have been going on, it's just been ridiculous, because that's what these groups are on. And the latest, if you've watched or heard, Stephen Colbert, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So his crew went out to the Capitol, and were told that they couldn't film. So they came back later that night and got arrested for trespassing. And now it's all over Fox News, OAN, and stations like that, talking about, well, how come you gonna vilify the Republicans on the right, but you won't arrest the camera crew who's definitely on the left, Democrat? It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. That's the talking points right now. It's we can go on and on and on about
yes, we
January 6th, and I don't want to belabor the point, but I think that when all is said and done and all the smoke clears, I really hope that the DOJ, the Justice Department, does its duty and goes after this man. No pardons, like, let's turn around and the vice president give him a pardon like Nixon. Let's go ahead and let's
make an
put
example.
this man away. Let's make an example of this. That there is no one person above the law.
Right.
And I don't care what color, because the man is orange.
Yes, he is.
The man is orange. We can go on and on about shades of brown and black, but the man is orange.
Yes, he's not.
And so he's colored too.
Yeah.
He needs to feel what it's like to be colored.
Okay, so Mr. Harp, we're going to end it on that note. Let's talk about this gun legislation, because in the United States, it is June. We have had 200 plus mass shootings in this country in the year 2022. It is amazing to me, and not in a wonderful way, but a questioning and concerning way, that we continue to have this. Over 20 years ago, we had a mass shooting in a high school called Columbine.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And Columbine sort of set the stage for what we thought mass shooters were. And then we had Batman. Remember, we had the movie theater shooting. And since then, in Michigan, we've had Oxford. We had a young man who shot several people. We've had Sandy Hook. We had the nightclub in Florida. I mean, we can just go on and on. And it was one of the universities in Virginia Tech, I believe it was. I'm not sure, and I don't want to miss. Okay, it was Virginia Tech. You had, I mean, we've had mass shooters at college campuses, elementary schools, workplaces. Remember, there was the one at the Naval Yard. I know it was one in either Maryland or DC, and there was one in Texas also. So everywhere we've gone, and I'm going to even go back and link the White House or the People's House, Congress, where Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Okay, so that was during the insurrection.
That was during the insurrection. We have a gun problem in this country. And I'm not saying that Ashley Babbitt was killed because of a mass shooting. She was killed for a whole different reason. But I say this because we saw during the insurrection all these people with guns. You actually saw it. People with guns, people with swords, people with axes and scythes and all kinds of things. And when we look at mass shooters, we keep telling the same story. Well, we didn't know this person has a mental illness. Why did this person have a mental illness and all of a sudden decided to shoot up a place? We had a man who a few weeks ago decided to go to a grocery store on a Sunday afternoon and shoot Black people because he felt Black people, yes, in Buffalo at Tops grocery store, who felt that Black people were the evil thing. We had Dylan Roof, who walked into an entire prayer service at a church and sat through a prayer service and prayed with people and then turned around. Yes, sat through it. What and let me be really clear to people. If you've never been to a Black church before, an African American church, one, it is the most segregated hour on a Sunday because typically Blacks and whites, I don't care where you are, everybody has their own church. But people that come to Black churches usually will say, wow, they were so giving. They gave me food. They prayed with me. They loved on me and this and that. And these people did exactly that. And this man got up and murdered people. Murdered people for showing them kindness and care and love. What is going on, Mr. Harp?
And then got a chance to walk out.
Yes.
And got a chance to walk out. I mean, here's a lot that's wrong. Okay. Citizens irresponsible with guns. We got police irresponsible with guns. So people are definitely part of the problem. But the gun is the mechanism. The gun is the mechanism. The gun is the common denominator. Whether it's a single shot, whether it's a semi-automatic, or whether it's a fully automatic. It's the gun. Okay. Now the intent to use the gun. Now where it becomes racial, and the horrible part about it, where it becomes racial, is that the mass shootings typically done by white folks. The inner city crime typically done by Black folks. And we're talking, when we put the stereotypes on it, people scared to go into the inner city for fear of being, for fear of a violent crime. But these mass shootings happen in everyday places, grocery stores, churches, subways, schools, places where it should not happen. Places where when people congregate, you shouldn't have to worry about that. Now, violent crime, is horrible no matter where it comes from. But the holdup in the gun debate is over the inner city versus the suburbs, where the suburbs, hey, we should be able to have our guns. Don't come take our guns. A semi-automatic rifle, why not? I heard people say that they go pheasant hunting. You're gonna blow the pheasant up? What you gonna do? You don't shoot the pheasant to put it on your wall. Get rid of critters. They're getting rid of critters in their fields. These types of guns obliterate things. They don't just kill things or buckshot things away. These things will cut you in half, make you unrecognizable when it exits you. And this is for fun. We're caught up in this Second Amendment, which, the wording of it just does not say individual rights. We as society, American society, there's a part of us that wants to give credit to a judge who did interpret it as an individual right.
Mm-hmm.
So people say, see, it's an individual right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the wording of it is not clear on individual. The wording of it is on the militia.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. That is a word that's used in the Constitution. Yes, militia.
Militia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, against tyranny, a government tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, specifically, that's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Every state has the right to bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we can leave the conversation alone.
Mm-hmm. You sure can.
But now we're stuck on, hey, my little 22 pistol, that's not gonna be enough to deter someone. I have to have a 9. I gotta have a 45. I gotta have one of the Clint Eastwoods. Back up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now I gotta have an assault rifle.
You feel lucky today, punk. You know. Now I got the. Now it's not enough to do that of the shotgun. You know, that's not enough anymore. Now you got to have the Rambo. You know, and everybody's going out there with the clips, the banana clips, just everywhere. So, and it's a shame that that's where we are.
It is.
And if I may, one more.
Yes.
The state of Texas. Uvalde shooting. As horrible as that was, and the play, so many mistakes. Many mistakes. You know, the police made so many mistakes and let those children die.
Yes.
You know, and outside of making the mistakes, now they're on the cover up. And the cover up is even making more mistakes. And it's got many more people caught up in this whirlwind. You got the governor of Texas caught up in this whirlwind. And now, just as recently as yesterday, as we speak, the GOP of Texas has decided to decertify Joe Biden's election. I'm like, how do you do that?
When are we gonna let this go?
How do you do that? They decide to decertify Joe Biden's election. They decide to turn LGBTQ into a abhorrent lifestyle.
Abortion.
They've already stricken abortion way before the judges have come out with the Supreme Court judges have come out with their final opinion on it. And they want to succeed. They want to leave the 50 states. They want to go back to the Lone Star State, be their own self. Wow.
This is the Civil War all over again. This is the Civil War all over again.
History repeats itself. We can't help it. 2022, you got a state, you got a governor who wants to secede, get out of the union, and what? Now they got the right to bear arms so that they can go against a tyrannical government. You know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Please, I'll let you.
Not at all. I think you summed it up perfectly, Mr. Harp. This is history repeating itself. This is the Civil War issue reeling its ugly head. But I want you to think about this even further. Where are military bases?
Yes.
They're in the South.
Yes,
where are military bases? They're in the South. So as one of the things that I'm sure that somebody smart somewhere in government is thinking about this, wait a minute, where are military bases? No, we can't allow this, because if we start allowing this, not that it would even be allowed, but I'm sure there's a contingency plan. Okay, what happens if these people really try to do something? This puts the entire United States at risk, because you have military bases, you have nuclear power plants, you have transportation routes. Because we saw in Texas specifically, when Governor Abbott decided that he was going to disrupt the supply chain and hold up things at the border, what happened? Produce costs went up, gas costs went up. And not that gas was just impacted by that, but it was already being impacted by the Ukraine and Russian war. And now here we have more issues. And so we're looking at families across America. This is me on my political soapbox. Families across America who are struggling to buy a $5 gallon of milk in Michigan. It's $5. So if you have children, it's summer break. Pray for our refrigerators, because I have 2 growing boys who one is nearly 6 feet tall and he's 13. That's all they do is eat. So milk alone, milk, bread, eggs, the staples. Let's talk about gas. Gas in Michigan is over $5. It's approaching $6. They're talking about President Biden came out today or yesterday and said that he wanted to suspend the gas tax, and they believe that they can do it. And one of the elected officials in Illinois said, well, I don't know if 18 cents will actually do it. Gas is already over $6. So if we say $5.83, am I going to want to travel? I don't know. So people not only are having to deal with the basic costs, now you're dealing with transportation costs. We haven't even got to air travel. Everybody wants to fly and go some places. We haven't been able to go anywhere in 2 to 3 years. And they're canceling flights like I don't know what. And I traveled a couple years ago and was part of that whole Southwest. We're going to cancel every flight. I did everything I was supposed to. I checked in before. I didn't travel a day in advance. Right. I got to the airport. I had the first flight out. They told me my flight was on time. I sat there for 2 hours to be told, oh, the crew didn't show up. The pilot is here, but the crew is not. And they're like, well,
that's one of the biggest problems. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping in right here.
Please.
That gas prices are high.
Mm-hmm.
Bread prices are high.
Mm-hmm.
A place like Texas, let's go back to Governor Abbott, because it was isolated. That one state, it's not a little state. That one state's a border state. Border state. So second busiest port or a transportation hub in the United States. The first is Michigan, between Canada and Michigan. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, no, as a supply chain, that's where things are going to come in, that Gulf of Mexico. And it's going to, that brings a lot of supplies into the United States. But it has to go through Texas.
Yes.
And just like when the Canadian truckers tried to shut down the border.
That's right.
The things that are affected, how prices, backups. I know people want to lay everything at the president's feet, like it's your problem. Things wouldn't be like this if you weren't here. And they try to lay all of these things at Joe Biden's feet. Not fair, but this is what's done. And what Texas is doing is they're just going to further disrupt the supply chain. And by disrupting the supply chain, these are going to make prices go up higher and higher. But they're going to blame it again on the president. Now, unfortunately, that's where we are. And the GOP, because the president now is Democrat, the GOP is going to block everything, no matter how sensical it might be, no matter how much it might help the American people. We're going to go ahead and block it because it's coming from a Democrat. So the gas tax, suspending the gas tax, will help the people, won't help the oil companies. The oil companies, even though oil is not the problem, it's refinery. It's refining the oil to turn it into gasoline. We get the oil from Russia. We get the oil from Saudi Arabia. We get the oil from ourselves. But we have to refine it. Now, the last point I wanted to make is employment.
Yes.
Jobs are here. Jobs are there, but they're not filled.
Right.
Now, flights are canceled, not just because of people issues. They don't have staff.
That's right.
I went up to Traverse City, Michigan a few months ago. We talked about it in one of our private conversations. McDonald's was hiring.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's is hiring everywhere. But I had never seen a McDonald's offer $22 an hour.
Yes. Yes.
$22 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
He's stupid not to work at McDonald's. If I was up there, I'd quit my job to work at McDonald's for 22 hours.
And you have a master's degree, Mr. Harp. Let's keep it real. Yes. Yes.
Come on. I mean, I'm just saying, listen, if you go chase the dollars, chase the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Is that just McDonald's?
Mm-hmm.
It's $22 an hour. You feed your family off of McDonald's today.
That's right.
You can go work at Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell for $40,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are, we can't fly because we don't have staff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have staff to maintain the airplane, to fly the airplane, to book the flights, to you know, where have all the people gone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, everybody's talking about, well, the unemployment checks are coming in and nobody wants to work because everybody's getting unemployment checks. Those things dried up. Those things dried up. Not too many companies are requiring having to test or wear a mask anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Where is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that question. And can I switch gears one more time? Can I switch gears
yes,
one more
please,
time?
please.
Father's
please.
Day.
Yes.
Father's Day was just this past weekend.
Yes,
and,
it was. Yes.
So to your husband and the men of your family, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Same to you, Mr. Harp.
I appreciate that. Well, Father's Day also fell on the second national recognized holiday of Juneteenth.
Yes, it did.
They coincided.
Mm-hmm.
So Black fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Juneteenth. But the Juneteenth celebration, a worldwide celebration for freedom. That's how they marketed it.
Mm-hmm.
A worldwide celebration for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, I'm not going to take anything away from that, Let's go ahead. Give it that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but what about the 4th of July now?
Yes.
How do you top that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the 4th of July? Since now Juneteenth is already top billed 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you're going to top it this year. So
I don't know either.
But it was good though. Juneteenth, Father's Day worked out 2022.
Yes.
That was kind of special. I did not. I read about how as they tried to monetize Juneteenth,
yes,
Walmart and other stores
Mm-hmm.
Took sections of their stores and tried to put up the red, black, and green, red, black, green, and gold.
Mm-hmm.
And got a lot of
kickback.
Got a lot of kickback so they had to take it down. Take it down so as not to cheapen the celebration. So I kind of think that was a good thing, not to cheapen the celebration.
I do.
Not to monetize it too much. Just come on, let's just hold the day, June 19th.
Exactly. And isn't it ironic, Mr. Harp, because we've talked so much about Texas, that Juneteenth was a holiday in Texas because that's where the event occurred. So on June 19th, 1865, the Union Army marched into Galveston and had to tell the slaves on the plantation, why are you working for these people? Y'all free. And I said, you all are free. Go ahead, live your best life. And I'm not, I'm saying it to be sort of funny, but it's not funny. But the reality is we're just telling you you're free. Go assert your freedom. Well, here we've been slaves at this point for over 200 years. What do? Can we just go and move someplace? No, because that's when Jim Crow started. Jim Crow was like, oh no, you can't move here. We're going to redline you. We're going to relegate you to this area. No, you can't have this contract. We don't associate with Black people. So, you know, to have the holiday is great, but I also had an event where we were recognizing and acknowledging Juneteenth, and we had lots of African American performers. I was a storyteller. We had historians and musicians. But, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, happy Juneteenth. And I'm like, do we want to say that? I don't know that we want to say that. And I'm not going to criticize you if you do, but do you really understand what Juneteenth is? And I think that's why a lot of retailers got the flack that they did. You know, all of a sudden want to come out with ice cream and plates and colors. And people were like, do you understand that this is people who were being brutally killed 2-3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed? Do you understand the importance of that? And so here we are talking about Texas seceding, yet in the same year, we're talking about the recognition of Juneteenth. The irony is just written all over that. And so
irony is amazing.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Now,
so
I'm
here
with
we
you.
are
I'm with
talking
you.
Civil War. Go ahead, Mr. Harp. I'm sorry.
I'm with you as far as, I don't know if I'm ready to say happy Juneteenth like that. But by all means, recognize it. By all means, we need to recognize it. But I was explaining in a conversation recently that this is more of an oversight. This is more of a correction of an oversight than it is a celebration. The freedom, the Emancipation Proclamation, you know, if we want to break it down into a nutshell, it was signed 2 years before it even took effect. You know, it was signed in 1863.
That's correct.
They didn't get the message till 1865.
And it was June.
2.5 years later. So slow process. But this is more of an oversight than, you know, correction of an oversight. You know, they were the last ones to know, okay, so let's go ahead and we acknowledge that day. And I'm with that. I am definitely with that. You know, but I also don't want to see it get turned into a meaningless Hallmark celebration.
Yes.
You know, to where it's like, go get you a Hallmark card, say happy Juneteenth, and keep it pushing. You know, hey, did you get that cake I sent you for Juneteenth? Right. You know, let's turn it into some history. Now, on another thing, isn't that what CRT is?
Yes.
In a nutshell. You got to teach the history before you can critically think about it. But we don't even teach that in school. You know, we're so scared of teaching CRT in school that we're not even teaching the Emancipation Proclamation and Juneteenth and how all of that relates, because the freedom of the slaves was a process. You know, we've always got half a paragraph in the history books. You know, you get half a paragraph that says this is the accomplishments of Abraham Lincoln. He did this. And when he did this, slaves were freed. You got silent applause in your imagination.
Exactly.
Then you move on to the Reconstruction.
Right.
Next page is Reconstruction. Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's always been one of those oversights.
It has. Like you said, we immediately moved into Reconstruction, and then it was Jim Crow, and you know, and then we were approaching civil rights and all of that. And people just think that the slaves, once they gained their freedom, then all was well, that there was no need for any type of reparations. And I don't mean monetary, but anything that in a place where they could succeed, survive, and thrive. And we're still fighting that battle in 2022.
That's why I smile, because to say all is well, that's an oxymoron.
It is.
To say all is well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you free?
Mm-hmm. Right. You're free.
What else you need?
Right. I mean, it's great.
You
Okay,
got your
so
own drinking fountain. What else you need?
Right.
You got your own baseball leagues. What else you need?
Right. Education, safety, and we can go on. And I have some books on my shelves, and there's this one book here, and I'm going to show it. The author is Danielle McGuire.
Okay.
Street, and it talks about how white men would patrol Black neighborhoods because Black people were relegated to certain neighborhoods, and they would patrol for young girls to have sex with. And oftentimes they would go in under the guise of I need a babysitter, and then assault or molest or have sex, however it worked out. But there are a few cases, and there's a famous case of a young girl named Reese Taylor. Reese Taylor was a young girl who was walking home from church with her grandmother and her brother. So white men rolled up on them one evening in a car and told her to get into the car. Grandmother and the brother, of course, are trying to stop it, but they can't really do anything. They took this girl and they assaulted her, raped her. She only had one child. She was married. She was young, but she was married. Only had one child. And the lie was, oh, well, she was a prostitute. Well, how is she a prostitute? Because that goes back into how Black women have been dehumanized and overly sexualized since slave days began. We haven't even talked about African-American males or Black males. This is just women. So when we talk about, oh, you have your freedom, can we talk about, can I get home without having to worry about you snatching me off the road? There was a movie with Matthew McConaughey and Samuel Jackson called A Time to Kill. They talked exactly about that. They took an innocent little girl who was still playing with Barbie dolls and had pigtails and was walking home, and they assaulted her so brutally that she could never have children again. And I just have to let that hang, because those are things that we talk about. So when we say, yes, you have your freedom, yet we have all these ... And in writing, we call that an ellipsis.
Still less than. Still less than.
Yes, you're still less than. You're still less than. And we're still fighting for it. And keep in mind, when we had the civil rights movement, until we had the passage of the civil rights bill, we couldn't vote. And now we're still in jeopardy because we just I believe we just ratified it again. The civil rights bill. I got to go back and look.
I think I know what you're talking about in Florida.
Yes.
And the voting acts, voting rights act. It's under attack. It's under attack in many states, especially in the South. You know, the redistricting and the Voting Rights Act and trying to close polls by certain times, no water passed out in line. You know, why not pass out water in hot weather?
Yes, especially in southern states where you will vote.
Why not pass out water? Why not have humanitarian help? You know, because they might influence.
Yes. Say a voter.
Right. They want to make sure that the illegal immigrants have 5 forms of ID. They want to make sure that, that anybody of color has 5 forms of ID, just in case you make sure you're not voting for a dead relative. No mail-in ballots. There's so many things that they're trying to. Or the one that I dislike the best is the distance of the polling places.
Yes. You got to drive 3 hours.
You got to drive so far to vote. And they want to make it so inconvenient that you don't vote. And that's But this is all in the States.
Mm-hmm.
This is all in the States.
In the southern states. Mm-hmm.
For the most part. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say it's, you know, limited to the southern states.
Yes,
but
correct.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, what you're doing is the southern states, but you're doing it in heavy Black and brown areas.
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of the big cities, especially in our city.
Yes, in Detroit, they're doing
Detroit,
that. Mm-hmm.
They have redistricted and changed voting blocks all over the city so that the representation changes. And so our dear friend Rashida Tlaib won't have as many of her constituents
Yes.
as she
Yes.
had before. You know,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and here we are in these days. Look over here while I do that.
Over here.
Look over there. While I do something while I'm doing something over here. And this is the nasty politics that we're playing. And persons like you and me, we sit here and we get stuck in the middle. We try to talk about it, try to recognize it, we try to talk about it, we try to inform people. Hopefully, when it's our time to get out there and vote, we can get people to get out there and vote. But we got to call it like we see it.
Yeah,
you know,
you do.
We got to call it like we see it. Hopefully, as we learn more with this January 6th commission, and find out where that takes us, because again, we're in midterms. And if this particular decision says that these people who are involved can't run again, then perhaps we can change the landscape. The other landscape we need to change is the ageism.
Yes.
I mean, we got almost everybody in their 70s and 80s who are making these decisions, who, of course, Jim Crow is in their blood.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Jim Crow is in the blood. If you 80 years old, you grew up in it.
Yes. You might have been a child, but yes, you witnessed it. You saw it. That formed your thinking.
And so some of these cultural norms is what formed your opinions early. Now, hopefully some things have changed over the years. But let's just say, Jim Crow was an era.
Yes.
And as that era being born into it.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mr. Hart, we gotta move into fitness, wellness, and the heat. But I want to quickly talk about COVID vaccine, because you're an educator. And so schools were greatly impacted by vaccines, meaning COVID was rampaging. There was no vaccine on the market for kids, or at least for kids, younger kids. Now they have a vaccine. You have schools that are opening back up. You have sports programs that are opening up back up. Everybody's like, we want to return to normal. We want to get back to where things feel like they should feel, where we can all interact with each other. Share what your thoughts are as an educator on maybe conversations that you've had with parents, generally speaking, on if they have an aversion to vaccines towards their children, or if that's something they thought was something that should happen.
Well, we just came off of a year and a half of people denying that the vaccine is worth anything.
Yes.
We've got a year and a half of people saying, my body, my choice. In the time of having to be vaccinated to go to work or to go back to school. So I hope personally, as an educator and as a parent, that this now gets on the list of the diphtheria, the chickenpox, smallpox, all of the vaccinations that a child has to have before they enter school. I hope that this makes that list, because it's been horrible, and it's now available for children as early as 6 months. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the parents will fall on board and get their children vaccinated. That's what I hope as an educator and as a parent. We don't need to have any more breaks of school. We don't need to have any more outbreaks. We don't need to have any more disruptions to the education process. Because as you know, as a parent of school-age children, it just keeps them in school longer.
It does.
Keeps them in school longer through the summer, where they could be out right now. Kids are still in school in the third week of June, trying to finish up and to get the required days that most public schools need to receive funding. So it's a rock and a hard place that a lot of parents and students are caught up in. But I think it could be alleviated if parents just follow on board and get their children vaccinated.
And I agree. And I, personally, my youngest son caught COVID twice. First time, it was right before the vaccine came out. And then after he went through the first battle, he was able to get vaccinated and he was able to get boosted. And then he got a breakthrough case of it. My oldest son, fortunately, did not. But it was frustrating because, I went back through the same protocol again of calling the school and letting them know, and nothing really happened. They were just like, it's just a fact of life now. And I thought, okay, wow. But my son had COVID. It is horrible. It is horrible. I'm like, but he has COVID. Who does he sit next to? And so at a certain point, I just had to let it go and just hope and pray that, the kids that were around him were okay. But the second time was worse than the first time. And so I worry about the different variants that are coming out, a whole politicization of, do we get a vaccine? Do we not get a vaccine? Do we wear a mask? Do we not wear a mask? And it's just frustrating for parents. So I agree with you. I hope and pray that people will get vaccinated, will take this seriously so that we can get to a place where people aren't getting sick. Because what we don't want to see is this morph into something else. And then, it be even worse than it has been. Keep in mind, we have lost 1 million people. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Please, we can't forget that. That's the one of the things we can't forget. Now, last year, the death toll numbers were constantly put on the screen. Put on the screen. We up to 650,000, 700,000, 800,000 people dying from this COVID. At the same time, we have the my body, my choice, leave me alone. We don't need to go through that because now kids are dying. Kids are dying. And when you look at adults and kids ratio or kids versus adults, okay, it's true. Kids don't catch it as much as adults. I've seen the numbers. But when you just put kids and just good. Kids, how many catch this disease? How many die from this disease? How many have serious illnesses? And one of the things that we don't know in these growing bodies is the ramifications. You see kidney failure. You may never know when you got congestive heart failure because of this. You don't know if this is going to lead to diabetes or any of these other long-term effects because of an early shutdown at 11, 12 years old. When the body is growing, and I'm sorry as I segue into the health and wellness part of it. As our bodies grow, as we're going through maturations, these have serious effects. And we don't have enough information as to what this can do. So I don't understand why anybody would not try and get vaccinated, get boosted. I personally have never had the flu. Thank God I've never had the flu.
Good for you. I can't say that. I can't say that.
I know there's people who feel horrible. Now, the flu was COVID 100 years ago.
It sure was.
And there's vaccines, there's flu shots. In fact, the
Mhm.
flu changes every year. That's why people have to keep getting flu shots.
Correct.
The flu morphs into something else. COVID has shown to morph into other things. And we might just be with this thing for quite a while. You know, we might have to give it a new name because influenza just became flu. You know, COVID-19, we might have to give it 19. You get to 19 yet? Who knows?
True.
It's going to be with us for a while.
Mhm.
So we should take every precaution to get that booster. You know, I hear that there were so many people that want to vilify the messenger. You want to vilify Dr. Fauci. You want to vilify the CDC directors and the healthcare workers because they're the ones passing on information. Don't shoot the messenger. You know,
Right.
go get this vaccine. Again, as an educator, I hate to see kids sick. I hate to see the kids sick. I hate to see more people get sick because of one kid. You know? I hate to see the teachers get sick because subs are hard to find these days.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
You know, the teaching profession is under attack. You know, many teachers may have gone to that 22 an hour McDonald's. Who knows? But the teaching profession is under attack, and not just from COVID. It's from the enlightened parents who are afraid of wokeism. It's from the enlightened parents who are afraid that their child is learning something that they don't feel that they should be learning. It's full of parents who are now wondering, well, where's my say in my kid's education? So by stereotype, teachers are vilified. You know, oh, all you're doing is teaching this. All you're doing is teaching that. I'm like, you haven't even stepped into a classroom. Again, I got half a paragraph. How am I supposedly telling your child how to be? You know, I have yet to see anybody teaching a child how to be different than their sex. But if I watch the news, every school is doing it.
That's right.
Every teacher's
It's mandated. It's
promoting
mandated.
it's promoting homosexuality and promoting alternative lifestyles.
It's not quite that way.
It's not quite that way. But again, when you hear what you hear and you react the way you react, go to the source and find out what it is. People just so quick to go to Twitter and say, well, let me vilify this teacher.
Yep.
Let me vilify this school. Let me give a bad review to this place. And we don't take the opportunity. Now, that's a shame. That's a real shame. Can I keep going and change it one more time? Because here in Michigan, we had a heat index. Girl.
Yes, we did. Let's talk about it. Fitness. Mr. Harp, is there a safe way to exercise in heat like this? Or even in places where we have droughts? Because out west, they're experiencing a drought. So talk to us about how do we do that? Or do we just take a break and sit back and have a cool drink, a sugary drink?
Well, you can lighten the load, definitely. Lighten the load, and we don't want to overexert ourselves. We don't want to overheat. Okay, so if we're working out outside, hydrate. Water. Gotta regulate your body temperature. Okay, for some, splash the water on top of us. For some, drink the water. Jump in the pool, get that water hose, spray yourself down. These are some of the things we can do in 100-degree weather. But yes, take it light. Outdoors in the heat, we definitely want to take it light. We don't want to run the risk of any type of overexposure. Now, inside the gyms where it's air conditioned and temperature controlled, please continue as normal. Get your workout in. Continue with your regulating your heartbeat. Want to bring it up? We want to go ahead and maintain a little exercise, and then we want to bring that heartbeat down. Okay, so we want to warm up. We want to get that heartbeat up. We want to get that workout in. I say lift weights while you're at your strongest. Okay, don't try to do a full 3 miles when you're working out, warming up. Just hit the treadmill or whatever it is for 5 minutes. Just get that heartbeat going for a little bit. Just as a warm up. Lift weights at your strongest. And then when you're finished with the workout, get back to your cardio. Okay? Now you can do your cardio. And when you're done, workout's completed. That's what I suggest. That way you'll maximize your cardio and your strength training. We don't want to be getting too tired doing our cardio first. And then our strength training is, I'm too tired.
Yes.
And then you figure in the heat. And now you figure in the heat, where the heat can zap your energy. So I would recommend, a good 20 minutes before you work out, put a little something in your stomach. Get that appetite sated. Take care of your appetite. And then go ahead and get a workout in. And recover. So that means some electrolytes, Gatorade, or some, I don't want to go ahead and promote anything, but you want to go ahead and put some electrolytes in. You want to get a nice little protein shake to go ahead and replace some of the lost electrolytes that you lost when you sweating. Pick up some of that protein. These are just some of the things that can help keep you cool, keep you hydrated, keep you moving during the hot months. Many of us go out in the sun, walk instead of run. Okay. When you get back closer into some temperature control, go ahead and get your workout in. Do what you got to do. Sweat it out. But stay cool, stay hydrated. Live for another day.
Exactly, Mr. Hart. That is some really good advice. So I have a question, and I've sort of wondered about this. So you talked about the differences between working inside versus working outside. You told us to maintain our hydration, make sure we get our electrolytes in, get water, stay hydrated. If we do an intense workout inside air conditioning and then decide to go out afterwards, are there things that we need to do because our heart rate might be up a little bit because we still have those endorphins flowing, and we could get a little bit under the heat because it is such an extreme heat? Or is that just a hydration issue?
Well, hydrate. You tell me what your body can stand. 100 degrees, 98, 96, whatever the degrees is, it's what it is. As you know, here in our state of Michigan, we deal with humidity. So 96 could feel like 108 with humidity. Whereas in drier lands, 96 is hot, but it's not humid. Okay. So staying hydrated is one of the biggest things. But by all means, there's so many benefits of being out under the sun. So working out in the inside in a controlled temperature allows your body not to overheat. Can prevent your body from overheating, I should say. It's more comfortable. It's better for the environment. But outside, listen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being outside. There's so many benefits. You get all the vitamin E from the sun, get suntan, your hair, your nails, get all of that goodness. But the most important thing is to hydrate, because once that heat does start to dissipate, take all the liquids out of your body, you're gonna need to replace it. A lot of us can't go very far in the sun. So, one of the best things to do if you can, in a perfect world, work out and jump in a pool. And you get the best of both worlds. So
let's talk a little bit about swimming, because Swimming is a great full body exercise.
Yes,
It's something that we can do. Talk about the benefits of swimming.
Well, for one, you have to use, yeah, you have to work your lungs. So cardiovascular. You got to hold your breath and breathe. Hold your breath and breathe. You have to regulate your breathing. It's a great full body workout because you're using your arms, you're using your legs, staying afloat, kicking around, moving around in the water. Water has resistance. So even if you're just running from one side to the other, you're running with resistance. So it's almost like running with weights. You've seen some people running with one of those weight packs on their chest or their back. You know, just a little extra resistance to help your muscles to develop. So working out aqua or aquatics, aqua Zumba, you can do classes like there's aqua weightlifting. It's easy on the joints.
Okay.
So for those that have a lot of trouble on flat surfaces, their knees don't quite take the shock of running, don't quite take the shock of jumping up and down. You can do that in the water. It's much better on the knees, much better on the joints. And so it would allow you to be more comfortable as you work it out. You still get that workout. You still get the mental part of it as well. But save the joints, work the joints out underwater.
Mr. Harp, do you, especially in this type of weather, you have people who are runners and you have people who are walkers. Do you have any advice for them on how to be able to safely work out outside? I know we stress hydration and we'll continue to stress hydration, but is it okay if you're a runner to go out and run during the highest point of the day with the sun, or should they try to do it early? Should they try to do it late? I've often heard people say that. Is that true?
Well, again, as a runner, hopefully you would know yourself a little bit more. You would know your body, you would know some of the triggers to know when to stop. Okay. The heat, we need to hydrate, we need to maintain the body temperature. If we go too far over that body temperature, then we run the risk of overheating. And that's anybody, whether you're walking, whether you're running, that's anyone. So hopefully that we know ourselves a little bit more. But there's really no advantage or disadvantage or a runner or a walker. If you're a runner, just regulate your breathing and know where the water is. As a walker, you can move a little slower. You might be able to carry a few things. And if you're a walker, you might be able to push a stroller, walk with a dog. There are things that you may have advantageous to help hold water with you. A runner may not hold that bottle of water with him or her. They may run to it at the end. Whereas a walker may have a bottle of water with them at all times and can sit and drink water mid-step.
That's great advice, Mr. Harp. Thank you so much for coming on the Kim B. Davis Show. Mr. Harp, tell us how we can find you. Tell us your social media links so we can follow you.
Well, my email, ericharp9@gmail.com. My name is Eric Harp. You can find me that way. I'm also under ESQ360. So I'm out there. Come find me.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Harp, for joining us. We know we look forward to next month where you'll have another exciting topic for us. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of relief from this heat and we can all continue to keep in shape, whether we exercise outside or inside. And remember, drink your water. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, drink your water. Thank you guys for tuning into the Kim B. Davis Show. You know that you can always find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, everywhere on social media. And it's Kimberly Batchelor Davis. Batchelor is spelled BATCHELOR. Elor. You can see this show at youtube.com/Kimberly Bachelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, and Wisdom. And you can find out more about me as an author at kimbdavis.com. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope you'll join us on our next show. And as always, remember, be magnificent.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Davis.